Okay, I think we're at the end of our second siren. I'd like to call the meeting February 17th, 2021 in the Clinton Township Board of Trustees to order, and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the fiscal officer please call the roll?
Trustee Sear, Trustee Sword, Trustee Jessberger.
Here.
Township Administrator.
Here.
Chief of Fire.
Here.
Chief of Police. Joining soon. Okay. Superintendent of Public Works.
Here.
Hi, Chief. Our next meeting is March 3rd, 2021 at 12 p.m. I'd like to make a motion to accept the agenda with flexibility.
A second.
Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sierra.
Yeah.
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from February 3rd, 2021.
I'll second.
Any discussion? I think we're ready, Deb.
All right, Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sierra.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, fiscal report.
I think I need to get a second before I read it.
I was just going to move it for acceptance after it was read. It on what?
Sure, we can do it that way too. I'll read it and then we'll see what happens. All right. December 1st, 2020. We had $6,840,453.77 for revenue. In December, we brought in $386,815.56. Expenditures the last month of 2020 was $495,513.10, leaving us with a year-end fund balance of $6,731,756.23.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the fiscal report.
I'll second.
Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sierra.
Yeah.
Yes. I just wanted to briefly mention, first of all, thanks for some of the year-end reports, Deb. And I just wanted to mention to everyone that I believe it's the fund balance, year-end, not month-end, but the year-end fund balance report is a nice little snapshot for, I think, everybody to just do a quickie with if you haven't cracked that one open yet. It's nice to see all in one place, you know, beginning of the year, end of the year, revenues versus expenditures. It's a really great snapshot, that report. So thanks for that. Okay, number 9 is discussion of public participation in our virtual meetings. And circling back around to this, I've been a little remiss. When I had that chat with the trustee on the west side, one of the things I reported to the board at that time was that there was a resident suggesting that we figure out how we're going to have the public participation part of the meetings. And we had asked Rachel to do some research for us through WebEx capabilities, et cetera. And then when Rachel decided to move back home, we sort of I let that fall off my radar anyway. I don't know. I won't speak for anybody else. But so we've been talking about that again this week, just sort of internally. I had a conversation with both Matt and Deb, and we played around a little bit and had a fake WebEx meeting to just look at settings. And probably everyone has been to webinars, et cetera, where you can sort of type a question into the chat and that finds its way through a moderator to the presenter. And we were playing around with that and figuring out how to set up the options. And then I don't know if it was Matt who had the idea. Somebody had the idea, why not just email the questions? We liked that idea just because having public participation in the actual WebEx would require everybody to register, get the link, and participate sort of the hard way through joining the meeting, whereas anybody could just email the township administrator if they had a question or a comment for that part of the meeting. So that was our idea. I wanted to bounce it around with you guys to see what you thought about that being a means by which the public can ask their questions or make their comments towards the end of the meeting.
I think that's a great idea. It'll probably help keep the feed a little cleaner as well. I know that there is some issues with what they call meeting bombing or whatnot, where if a link is made public and gets out, it can gobble up the feed. So I think that is probably the best option myself.
Would there be a limit on like how many questions we would answer? Or is this until questions stop coming in? And who would get the questions? Would they go to Matt?
Yeah, our thinking at the time was that they would go to Matt and he could be functioning kind of in a moderator role. If he gets 5 questions that are all the same, he'll just ask that question once, obviously. Issues like that. I think the time is a good issue to raise. I mean, I personally don't want to be spending tons of time after the meeting. And I think it'll be a matter of how we want to do that. Do we want to set a limit that's always true? Do we want someone on the board to say, okay, I think it's time we close this session? I don't know what the comfort level of the other trustees is about a time limit or how to go about it. But I think it's wise to set that expectation. We're not just going to, do this for the 100 questions.
Will we put it towards the end of the meeting, like in the other items to be brought before the board kind of platform, and then as far as a cutoff, like during the meeting, I don't know what a good time would be, or have your questions in by a certain time, or I mean, because they could have questions all the way up until we get there. So maybe like a limit of however many questions per meeting. And then they can always reach out to us through our contact information that's put up in the beginning of the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing the top of the head ideas out there.
No, I like the idea of maybe just a set number. We have to, we know we have to do something. You can't just, and I personally have been really, really trying to convince residents that, reaching out to us during the month is the time to get things settled. I mean, that's when action can happen, and we can be at our most efficient. So. Comfortable with
some of this reminds me of when we had our meetings regularly. We would always say, you can reach out to us outside of these meetings. So I think for now, we'll utilize the administrator's email. It sounds like the board is moving in a direction of the handful of folks who are watching, can always reach out to us, but the board and Matt will do their best to address a question if it comes in sort of now, and we'll apologize to residents who want to ask a question right now and we're aware of this, but and just remembering that some of these questions we kind of are always dealing with. When we had meetings in person, had sort of robust discussion with residents we knew, and then brand new residents didn't know when they could raise their hand. So some of this is just normal, how to make the right medium for everybody, but I'm sure that it'll be appreciated that folks can email the administrator a question, and Matt will do a good job of bringing those questions forward towards the end of the meeting. And that possibly when we get the new position hired, we don't want to jump around with residents, but maybe the new Rachel will field those questions.
Well, as always, we can try something on and see how it fits and then try something else. Would the board be comfortable with starting with like 5 questions? And if that's clearly not enough, or we deal with them quickly, 5 is okay for now?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so we want to let residents know that Mr. Huffman's email is his first initial and his last name, MHuffman @clintontownship.org. And at the end of meetings, do you want to start today? At the end of the meeting, we will take up to 5 questions that folks have emailed to Mr. Huffman. Well, thank everybody for bearing with us while we try this on and work through the logistics, but I think that'll at least get us a start on how to get the public back in here a little bit. Thank you for that. So I'm going to go ahead and make a motion, and then we'll open it up for conversation. Item number 10 is a motion to approve the purchase by department heads on township credit cards of up to 2 departmental employee luncheons or meals per month for the next 6 months from township establishments when possible, under the authority of ORC 505.05 as part of an employee recognition program for up to $4,000 from line 1,290, 599, 1225.
I'll second.
Thank you. This is an idea that sort of grew out of department heads a little bit. I had asked the question of them just from a management standpoint, how else can we support our employees during this time? And what else can we do for them? And actually Chief Fraley and I had an interesting conversation about how he'd like to get meals going for the firefighters who help at produce markets afterwards. And I thought that was an interesting idea that we could, why not have days where we might just have some employee appreciation and buy some lunches. So that's where the idea came from. I checked with Pete Griggs about the viability of this in terms of the legality. He thinks it's absolutely fine under the employee recognition program section of the law for us to do something like this. So at this point, it's just a question to you two about how you feel about the idea or the amounts or anything else we want to discuss.
I love that. I think that that's something that can help also to boost the morale for all the departments. I think it's a great idea.
I as well, especially during this crazy winter weather fiasco we've all been faced with lately. Everybody's been working overtime, so not in the greatest conditions either. It's a good one.
And I had a conversation too with Deb about just sort of the workability of that, and we're kind of just leaning towards department heads being able to have the flexibility of doing that when it makes sense for particular shifts or particular departments, and coding that line of the visa statement when it comes in for this general number.
I'll just add that we expect those to happen through the credit card use. And then the chat with Trustee Sierra, where folks can to support the township or really close to township businesses. So not a hard, fast rule, not a ceiling amount per department, but we know the department heads will enjoy being able to support their folks this way.
Any further discussion or comment? I think we're ready for the roll, Deb.
Okay. Trustee Sword, Trustee Jessberger, Trustee Sierra.
Yes.
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 And not to count paper clips on this one, but that's not going to include elected officials. So, okay, thanks.
Committee or team reports, anyone?
Produce market went fantastic. We had a really great steady turnout almost all the way through the end. We had absolutely nothing left over. Last time I checked during the market, I think we were at about 120, but that still wasn't to the end. And I know we had a few cars at the end that may have not been counted. I also wanted to bring up some discussion that we've had in our chat meetings about getting a good centralized place for resources for our residents, possibly added to our webpage. So I know Chief Fraley has done some talking with Matt about getting maybe a tab added that can be further itemized within that tab of different types of resources for children, adults, you name it, food, healthcare, furniture help, whatever it may be. And this will also probably tie into Trustee Jessberger's new initiative that she is working on as well. And anybody can add to that list, but you'll probably see that pop up here pretty soon, and will be a great little kind of directory of what's available by which, company or entity, and who's eligible. It'll just be like an encyclopedia of area resources for anything you can possibly imagine.
What a great idea. Who's compiling it? Who's putting it together?
So we've got different members of our chat team and different entities that come in and help with the produce market as well, kind of just sending us links to different resource groups that we will all just kind of email to a centralized location and get it added on there.
Just a friendly reminder that we had started a little bit of that work right on the onset of the pandemic, and we had that one page of COVID resources that might still be applicable.
We can probably piggyback it all in together so that it's all in one spot. That would be great.
Yeah.
But it's going to be exciting. We've got a ton of great resources already emailed in, and it's an ever-growing, evolving beast.
That's a great idea. Anything else? I thought I'd advise the board about sustainability committee a little bit. We stumbled on an application for a program that the Ohio EPA administers. It's called Encouraging Environmental Excellence. And the reason that I liked it, for one, is that we're spending these first couple of months just putting our arms around everything we're already doing about sustainability, which is significant. And this particular program has an application that's a big checklist that allows you to kind of go through and check off all the things that you're already doing in order to then apply for their particular levels and designations within this program. So you're at a sustainable level or a stewardship level and so forth. So we're working on that, and the application I think has been helpful. Mr. Huffman served as sort of an information clearinghouse while we all emailed him some ideas about the stuff we're already doing, and we already have a significant amount of boxes checked, as you might imagine. I thought once we work on that one more time, I'll probably go ahead and send it to the other trustees. So forthcoming will be a request that you approve us applying for that program, just to go ahead and earn whatever designation we can for our community, and sort of a dashboard of stuff that we're already doing and where we might want to go next as a beginning step here. Anything else under committee or team? Mr. Administrator.
Just wanted to kind of bring up some information regarding the south side of Ormond Avenue, the OPWC application, which was approved by the Board of Trustees a while back. I am starting to get some engineering plans for that particular project. I've shared them with Corey to have him take a look at them as well. Because it is a drainage and sidewalk project, there are trees between the edge of pavement of the road and where the project's gonna actually occur. I think based off the plans I saw, there are maybe about 10 of those. Those trees will have to be removed. Unfortunately, not something we ideally would like to see, but with their proximity to the road and safety issues there, as well as the fact that it is impacting the project of improving the drainage on that property and the sidewalks, those trees will most likely have to be removed. The engineers would like to get those removed prior to the actual start of the project. So we might be looking at having that occur here sooner than otherwise expected. Just wanted to kind of get that out. I have talked to the engineers. They will be reaching out to the property owners as well, so that they are made aware of what's happening, but wanted to get it out in a public forum as well, that unfortunately, because of the project and the impact it could have on that project, there are approximately 10 trees along the south side of Ormond that are right along the pavement of the road that will need to be removed. So that could be happening here anytime within the next month or so. And then the SWACO update. During our last meeting, I mentioned that SWACO had a grant that would allow the township to get perhaps some larger 65-gallon rolling recycling bins. It was suggested that a poll be put out on social media. For some reason, my Facebook setup did not have the ability to actually do a poll on Facebook. I did get a poll done over on Nextdoor. Only had 30 votes, which is actually a pretty small amount considering our over 4,000 residents within the township. The question that was posed was, would a larger recycling container be with a lid and wheels encourage you to recycle more? The vote ended up being 60% yes, 40% no. However, there were a lot of comments, several comments made on that post as well, that the idea of a larger container and the storage of that container for the residents would be kind of a difficult thing to do. Right now, the smaller bins, most of the residents can keep those in their garages. A larger bin would then need to be most likely kept outdoors since it's a larger container. And there's concerns about the appearance of having that container and the impact it would have on those particular residents. So at this time, it's looking like maybe it might not be a good thing right now, unless I get some additional information from the residents. I did talk to SWACO. It is an all or nothing, so we can't kind of break it down to now this resident and this resident get it, but other residents don't. So at this point, I'll reach out to SWACO and most likely let them know it may not be something we're looking to implement at this time, but something to consider down the road.
Sounds good. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Open?
That's all.
Chief Fraley.
Yes, we would like to request a PO in the amount of $19,755.86 payable to Ohio Cat for repairs to engine 61s. This would be from Fund 2111-220-323.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sierra.
Yes.
Yes.
And a little flexibility, I just wanted to advise everybody, we did host a drive-through COVID testing event last Saturday, partnered with Primary One and the Ohio National Guard. Event went very smooth. Primary One is interested in talking further about becoming a vaccination site. So hopefully we can work that out.
That would be great. How many participants did you have for testing?
It was very low, low 20s, but they said that they're seeing the numbers wane quite a bit because the vaccine is out. So they're actually starting to do or move away from COVID testing sites and move more into the vaccination site. So again, with the space we have, they were pretty happy with the thought of moving forward with that. We're going to have some more talks within the next couple of weeks.
Great. Thank you. Chief Jones.
Hi, good afternoon. First item I have is to request a purchase order for Axon Enterprise for cruiser video camera systems in the amount of $52,944. And correct me if I'm wrong, Deb, but I believe it's Fund 2251-760-750, and it's from our drug forfeiture funds. Okay.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sierra.
Yes.
Yes.
Second item I have is to request resolution to surplus the following police cruisers. We have a 2014 Ford Explorer, last four of the VIN being 5399. A 2015 Ford Explorer, last four of the VIN being 2113, and a 2016 Ford Taurus, last four of the VIN being 8145, to be sold on Gov Deals.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sierra.
Yes.
Yes.
And then last item I have, just as a bit of information, Ohio Traffic Safety Office, the Department of Public Safety is putting out some new materials this year. So they have a lot of topic that's been on the news lately, and of course in our community as well. We've had the complaints on the speeding. We had one of our cruisers hit last week from somebody not paying attention on Cleveland Avenue. But Stop Defeating Before It Stops You program that's coming out in the spring. So I've ordered some banners. These are fairly large, much like the Ticket or Click It or Drive Sober, Get Pulled Over banners. So I've ordered some of these to maybe put up in our community parkways along our residential streets. If I could get some help with the road department on installing some type of like temporary poles that we could attach those to, just to get these signs out there in English and in Spanish. Those are the only two languages they have currently. But something to get in the neighborhoods along with our officers being a little more active out there. With some of the officers getting the COVID shot finally, a little more interaction can take place. I feel more comfortable with that happening, so that we can get in on the speeding campaign and try to get drivers slowed down. A lot of accidents are around Columbus lately, and I think Channel 6 or Channel 4 is doing a program in the neighborhoods with their radar, catching speeders in residential areas. But it's not just here in Clinton Township. It's kind of a pandemic with the pandemic, with the way people are driving reckless and speeding these days. So that's all that I have.
That's great. How many banners are we talking about?
I think we've ordered with the Click It Ticket and then the Stop Speeding Before It Stops You banners. I think we've got 6 of those coming in. We've also got some updated posters with that information too. So if we do have some open house get-togethers later in the year, hopefully we'll have some of those information and pamphlets to pass out to folks.
Great, thank you. Congratulations too on the cameras. I just wanted to, I'm just going to take the opportunity to just say one more time how our police department was first with body cams, and I just really appreciate you staying on top of the technology and now going this way with the dash cams.
Yeah, I believe we got a public records request from I think Columbus Dispatch. They're doing the story on body cams again. And I kind of made that a point. You know, we started ours in 2014 before they were even a topic of discussion. So the cruiser cams, and then we are also recycling into new body cams with Axon. So those will be the Fleet 3 system, which is kind of the latest, newest technology out there. So these incorporate when an officer either from the car or stepping out of the car, both those cameras will activate on one screen. So when they go down to the prosecutor's office for review, we have the whole incident between the cruiser and the body cam all in one picture.
Excellent. Thanks, Chief. Superintendent Flagg.
Good afternoon. I'd like to request a motion to approve the 2020 road mileage certification.
We will make a motion to approve our 2020 road mileage certification at 15.07 miles.
I'll second.
Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sierra.
Yes.
Yes.
Both copies are in the mailbox by the trustee's office. 2 trustees needs to sign each copy, and then I can send them back to the Franklin County engineers.
Will do. Anything else today? Good.
Still no salt order. I was able to go down to the Franklin County engineers to pick up some more salt, so we should be good for the storm tomorrow.
Good. Okay. Thank you. We are down to appreciations. Anyone?
I would like to give a huge shout out to all of our safety services and public works for trudging through all of the white stuff we've gotten here over the last couple of days. I'm sure it hasn't been easy for any of you. Just to let you know, I'm thinking about you while you're out there freezing cold.
Mhm.
And we did receive an email from a resident with appreciation for the road crews as well.
Okay, perfect. So we are on to other items. Were there any other questions, Mr. Huffman?
There was one other one besides the appreciation to the roads guys. It is directed towards Chief Jones in regards to staffing. About wondering about hiring replacements for Lieutenant Pfeiffer and Lieutenant Newman. And then wondering about, I guess, a promotion to replace Lieutenant Pfeiffer.
Yeah, I can just say those are ongoing considerations at this time, and we're waiting to see where our budget is after first half for real estate. But at this time, we're kind of making do. Recruitment is a big issue across the state of Ohio. So recruiting folks right now, we're looking at some other things, maybe some lateral hiring later on. There's also issues with academies because of COVID, getting new recruits in. So it's an issue across the state of Ohio. I can tell you, I get daily emails from Ohio chiefs of police where departments are looking to recruit from other departments. So right now in law enforcement, it's a tough arena, but we're trying to think outside the box and make some different changes as need be.
I was surprised myself the other day. I was watching TV and I seen a couple local police departments commercial advertisement for recruiting. The first time I think I've ever seen that.
Okay.
So no other questions at this time.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to enter an executive session per ORC 121.22G3 to confer with an attorney concerning a pending court action.
I'll second.
Trustee Sorensen, trustee Jesberger, trustee Sierra.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we'll see you over on Teams. We don't need any department heads to stick around. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, we are back in session at 1:05 p.m. I would like to make a motion to authorize Attorney Paul Lafayette to resolve the claim regarding 1779 Case Road.
I'll second.
Ready for the roll.
Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sierra.
Yes. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right,
Thanks, everyone.
bye.
Have a good week. Be safe in round 2 of Snowmageddon.
Find your sunglasses. Yeah. All right.
See ya.
Bye-bye.